What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 73. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Rhett Murdoch.
I'm Batman.
And coming to us from Pennsylvania, Mr. Meteor Lopez.
The prodigal son returns. Well, I really didn't go anywhere. Well, I wasn't on Otanime, so at least got one.
Yeah, yo, man, you missed us talking about Berserks.
Yeah, I would really have loved to have talked about that one. I mean, that was probably one of my favorite shows.
Oh, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know.
I got so much beef with Berserk.
He would have the grief because the last part never came.
But Brett, we're finally getting what we want, man. The next part of Berserk is coming, man. So we're good.
Here's my beef, and I'm just gonna air this real quick. There's so many Berserk things now. Like, they retold the same fucking story and ended it off at the same fucking place. So there's like, it feels like there's 3 or 4 iterations of Berserk out there, and they're all a letdown, and they're gonna like shuffle
No.
This
is the shit you've been waiting for. This is what happens afterwards.
Is this gonna bridge the gap to the fucking game? Like, ever?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
They should just release. You know, it would be great if once that other season of Berserk comes out, they re-release the Swords of the Berserk the game.
Yeah, because they're finally releasing the arc where the game takes place in. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's happening. So real quick, Manny, the move, Pennsylvania.
Went good. We got some movers. We got some movers from New York. I think they're called Stinetti movers.
Hey, Stinetti over here.
Hey, it's a Stinetti. You know,
you said it was like a bunch of Guidos, right?
the guy who came by to assess our apartment, he was just like, "Hey, all right, you look like you're already done. It looks like we don't gotta do so much work here. We just do this, And that was it.
Yes.
But the guys, the actual mover guys, they literally just like, I would say they started at maybe 9 o'clock, and by 4:40 something to 5, they were already done packing and they were on their way. So
that's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, there's still, of course, lots of things to do. I have an office again. I'm not in my living room, so. Yeah, so I actually have an office. So you'll actually, if you guys ever look in the background of my or can see in my background, you'll start to see all kinds of different things. So essentially kind of like looking at Chris's background when he was in the process of moving in. It's like, hey, look, shelves appeared.
Yeah.
There's a glass shelf there now. So yeah,
awesome,
it's all good. It's good to have
Again, I just find it funny. It's like you moved all the way out there, but you'll still be coming to New York periodically. You're coming back tomorrow.
I'm coming back tomorrow to do some final bits of stuff. I was actually talking about this. There's actually a classic video game store not far from my house.
Nice.
And I saw they had a bunch of classic Nintendo games. So pretty good prices around here. So, pretty good prices in general. So I was like, all right, you know what? While I'm out in New York, maybe I'll go pick up my Nintendo from my mom's place.
Yeah, man, you can buy some games for it and stuff.
Yeah, buy some games for it. I mean, I have a bunch of games already for it, but maybe they have some sort of new connector for the TV or something like that instead of using.
They just sell classic stuff. I was wondering if it's one of those stores where they buy, they get new shit a couple of days beforehand. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know. I actually didn't talk to the guy there. I was just kind of browsing around and seeing what things they had. They had a Super Famicom, and They had all kinds of fun stuff there. So I was like, all right. And there's also, not far from me, there's also a new comic store called Brave New Worlds. They're actually a chain here in Pennsylvania. So there's one in Philadelphia, and then there's one inside, over here, which was the original one.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, there's a bunch of things that we have to walk to. Eventually, we'll have to get a car, but.
Oh. See, that's the thing that always happens. New Yorkers leave; they have to get a car if they don't have one already.
Hey, but I'll tell you one thing, man. Obviously, this is not a walking state. We walk down the streets here. There's nobody there. We're the only 2 people walking.
Wow. Yeah, everybody drive. It's just weird when you leave New York. Everyone's just driving everywhere. It's like, won't you guys walk? It's odd. So before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for tonight, Noah's Arcade.
Did you ever tell the fans of the story behind that shirt?
they're based out of Aurora, Illinois. So okay, basically, I ordered a DualShocker shirt, right, for T Public, and they sent me this shit instead. I I asked for a DualShocker shirt, an extra large. They sent me Noah's Arcade and double XL or triple XL. This shit's fucking huge, you know. So yay, T Public.
Hey, you know, I've heard. I think isn't Noah's Arcade like I forgot the name of those. They were actually a pretty good arcade.
Hey, all I'm saying is, I got, it's like, it's an arcade, people. Go. If you're near Aurora, Illinois, go, because it's arcades. Arcades are awesome, you know?
Yeah.
We always promote gaming over here on the gaming podcast, obviously. So, yeah, next time, tell us more about that story when you go to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was actually kind of cool. Like, my girlfriend, who's angry video game nerd fan, she was like, oh yeah, you know, not long ago I heard that he was actually doing a signing over there. I'm like, oh okay. And I looked in the corner, there was a bunch of his DVDs. I wonder if he lives in this area.
That'd be pretty funny.
Like, hey, what's up, angry?
Yeah, don't they just call him nerd? That's what they called him in the movie.
They call him nerd. Yeah.
They just called him nerd. Silliness. All right, let's get into the questions. Final stage boss as always. With a question we've kind of gotten before, so we could just go through this fast. Would a Dreamcast 2 be able to compete in today's market? Hell no. Basically, Sega's not the Sega they used to be back in 1999. Sega is a shell of what they used to be. They're almost dead as a company. Dreamcast 2 would flop. Like, what would distinguish it from anything else out there? Nothing. You know? Think about it like this. Nintendo has the most, first-party games out there, right? They're basically dead. Sega, they wouldn't even make it at all, you know?
Yeah, I agree. There's not really much more to add to that. Like, if they were to introduce a Dreamcast 2, right, what would it be? It would just be a mid-level PC, like the PS4 and Xbox One, if they were smart. They would make that, right? And then, so what? What's the difference? Nothing.
Yeah.
And honestly, Sega's first party has kind of gone downhill. I mean, I don't know who gives a shit about Sonic anymore, except the Rabbit fan of, you know? And they're not going to make stuff like Skies of Arcadia and that stuff anymore.
They don't do that. You know, Crazy Taxi, Ready to Rumble. Sega doesn't do that shit anymore. They don't make games anymore. I think the only things they put out, like, consistently are the Total War games. Those seem to be doing good on PC, but that's it. You know, like, as far as, like, consoles go, they're done. They've been done for fucking years. You know?
I have to disagree.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. I was thinking to myself, like, we start off the thing with Tony going left and I go right.
Yeah, I mean, again, I knew you were going to disagree because you've disagreed already because we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about this one.
So yeah, just give us a brief overview of why you disagree.
Okay, well, on the surface, you bring up a lot of good points, and I'm not actually going to try and negate any of them because they actually stand on their own legs. The thing I would point out is that if Nintendo is truly dead in the water, the ecosystem seems to stabilize best around a 3-console system. Like, 2 consoles vying for power doesn't appear to me to be a healthy marketplace. And this could be just that I've been brought up in an era where there's always kind of been 3 consoles.
Actually, you need to give examples because last generation where we had 3 healthy consoles was an anomaly. It's always 2 healthy consoles and a distant third.
I suppose so. My point being that if there is room in the market for a third console, right, and that could be argued on its own point, but if there's room in there, then you have to see, like, okay, there's a bunch of people vying for this. There's people making Steam boxes. There's people wanting to make consoles. Amazon wants to make a fucking console. Everyone wants to make a console. Out of all the people that would want to make a console, Sega is the only one that's had experience and success in the field. So why would they not be just as good as why would they not be just as good as Amazon to come up or to launch a console, especially if they partnered with like Nvidia or something like that and worked to make a proprietary system that is highly refined, something that boosted the power. Because keep in mind, well, you have a certain loss from straight PC spec hardware because you kind of accommodate for all of these different builds. And unless you make a machine, or if you make a machine that's kind of off the shelf, it's not really can't can't think of the word that I'm trying to use. It's not really very well optimized, I want to say. So there is room for a console to have a place in the market, and there is room for another console in the market, in my opinion. And if anybody, why not Sega? Like, look at the success of Shenmue. People have not forgotten about Sega. They still have a legacy, and so they have a legacy and they have experience, which puts them at least slightly above all these other people that would introduce a console into the marketplace.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but the thing is, again, looking at Sega in 2016, I really don't see them, doing well at all.
Right. And what would they design now, feature-wise, that would make people buy it? Like, what would make you buy a Dreamcast 2 other than the name Sega on
The
it?
name, exactly.
Honestly, the system doesn't even matter that much anymore. Exclusives aren't a huge thing. First of all, if they manage to grab Shenmue and make that an exclusive, and then come out with a system that was on par with the Xbox, yeah, I'd buy it before I would buy the Xbox.
I wouldn't
Absolutely.
buy it for one game, man.
No, not even one game. One game plus all the third-party games, because I imagine if Sega came into the mix, they would heavily embrace third-party development. So you would have all the games that are on your. It's like what game, there's only a handful of games that you can't play if you own a PlayStation. The same way there would be only a handful of games that you couldn't play if you owned a Dreamcast too. The market is pretty well driven by third-party right now. So at the end of the day, we're talking about a handful of healthy exclusives in order to get a console off the ground. That's not much.
Yeah, but again, if you have a PS4, if you have an Xbox One, why the hell would you get a Dreamcast 2 if it's offering you the same basic shit?
If you have a PS4, why the hell would you buy an Xbox?
Because there's exclusives there that aren't on PS4. If you buy, I think, again, Sega exclusives, they don't have any, man. Sega doesn't have shit.
Oh, that's not true. They could leverage and make an actual good Sonic game, and people would be.
No, they've been trying for 20 years, dude. They've been trying for 20 years.
Yeah, they just don't have the talent pool anymore. And besides, all the stuff that you need to pull together to support hardware, they've given all that up, right? Mm-hmm. They've closed down so many branches and pieces of Sega that used to support the consoles that to put that together would be monumental, to put that business model back together.
You think Amazon or Apple would do this better?
No, I think they're both going to crash and burn too. I don't think the market can handle them.
If Nintendo failed tomorrow, and a third console or a third console were to rise from the ashes created by a new company, who would you want that company to be? I say Sega.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I still think you're going off of what Sega used to be, not what Sega is. I'm going off what Sega is, and what Sega is shit.
But yeah, the demon, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's really a need for anyone to rise up and replace Nintendo. I think everything is unifying towards PC hardware, right? We're gonna get Steam boxes soon, and PS4 and Xbox One. Let's be real, they're just PCs. Everything is unifying towards PC architecture. So I don't think anyone else is going to offer an experience that's going to be any better or any more appealing than what's already there. And even that is going to go away and become a more unified architecture. So I don't see a need for anyone.
That makes me sad, because we've been seeing a homogenization of the industry, and with the death of Nintendo, you're going to see two very closely competing companies that aren't going to take a whole lot of risks. And I feel like it's going to stagnate the industry.
Sega's not going to be the one that's going to change that.
No, I'm not even saying that Sega is going to be the one to change that. I'm advocating we need three competitors in the marketplace to have a healthy, thriving, evolving marketplace, in my opinion. And then the question becomes, well, who's going to man the helm of that third ship? Because Nintendo is doing a piss poor job of it, and they need to go the fuck away. Like, that's just the straight reality of it.
Nintendo
needs to be replaced, but who do they need to be replaced by?
Yeah, I would definitely not suggest fucking Sega.
Hey, you know what? You can talk shit on Sega. Sega had some of the best and most formative games. Well, of course they had, because they don't have anything now. They pretty much went out of business.
I'm the Sega fanboy. I'm the Sega. I bought all that shit. I'm the Sega fanboy. I'm not going back to what Sega had. I'm going what Sega is doing.
That's okay. Well, that's like saying the Discworld series used to be good. Well, yeah, of course they used to be good. The author is fucking dead. They're not coming out with any new ones. They don't have any new things. Like Sega isn't. It hasn't been a real company since the fall of the Dreamcast. Let's be fucking honest about this. They've been a shell of a company, pumping out underproduced, underfunded, half-baked crap games in an effort to try and keep their company alive. But when that failed, they went to trying to shovel out remakes of all the old games in collector bundles, and they floundered that way. And they pretty much stopped being a company when they watered down the Sonic logo. I'm not saying that they have a whole lot right now, but they have. I'm talking about the return of them as a gaming company, not this thing that they became after the Dreamcast failed.
Yeah, but again, like Chris said, a lot of those guys, Yuji Naka, Yu Suzuki, all these dudes, gone. They're not there anymore. But yeah,
you headhunt all the talent that goes from Nintendo, man. That's what you do.
Yeah, but look with Nintendo nowadays. That they're not doing. And we got Nintendo questions too. But anyway, let's move on here. How would you feel if your favorite game developer quit making console/PC games to make mobile games only? That would be pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah. I mean, we already experienced that. That's Konami right there.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't. No, I would not be. Who would not actually like that?
Yeah.
I've been playing console games from this developer for years. I can't wait for them to step away from that, make mobile games. No one is saying that shit.
Yeah.
They would be dead to me.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, forget about it. Why you abandon me for some bullshit?
Yeah, well, they're essentially abandoning you for the quick dollar, impulse buys. That's what they're abandoning you for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say that.
I think the biggest issue, not issue, I mean the issue, but like thing that happens with a lot of companies like this is because they didn't give a shit what games were doing in the old days because they didn't cost a lot to make.
Yeah.
To make the original Metal Gear game or to make the original Contra, it wasn't a lot of money to develop those games. And the thing is, like now, the games that you play in your phones are almost those sorts of games. They're old Nintendo games repackaged onto these handheld. These phones.
Yeah.
So
except with shitty touch controls.
Except for shitty touch controls. But the thing is that at the same time, a lot of these companies don't care about controls or anything like that. They care about how much money they're going to be making off of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, let's not forget, Sega said the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Ugh. All right. Last question for Final Stage Boss. What do you think will happen? Chris, get ready. What do you think will happen to Nintendo if the NX is as big of a failure as Wii U? We've all said this for episodes now. They're done. They're going to be a third-party developer. That's what's going to happen at Nintendo.
Yeah, if they're so lucky. Listen, if this is all the eggs in one basket. You have to remember that the NX is going to replace the Wii U and the 3DS. So if you go on VG charts right now, go add up everything that the 3DS sold and go add up everything that the Wii U sold and set that as the bar that this thing is going to have to make in 2 years for them to survive. Right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty fucking big bar. Right? It cannot do it can't even meet the Wii U's metric, right? Because it's not just replacing one system, it's replacing 2 systems.
Yeah, that's true.
So they need to make up all that revenue. We've seen the leaks. They're on Destructoid and stuff. You can go read them. They're porting stuff like the Pokemon games. They're going to be on 3DS. They're going to be on NX, right? So we know if they're porting that, that's the same thing with Twilight Princess ported from GameCube to Wii. We know both, and Zelda I think is going to be ported to both. So it's replacing both. That's what it is. They're just doing a transition period, and then it's going to take over. So it has big shoes to fill, and they have to sell tens of millions of units to make up for the loss of both those systems. It's not just if they just do what Wii U numbers. No, there's a lot more math involved than everybody would like to admit. They cannot just hit like 13 million. They're dead. If they just do what the Wii U did, they're done, finished. They can't even just do what the 3DS did. No, they have to. You have to have. They have to. They have to go big. This thing has to do well for them, and so they are really betting the farm on this one. They're sunk if they do what the Wii U did.
Yeah,
They're
Nintendo's
sunk.
done, man. They're done. The Nintendo
They're just
fans,
done. Period.
Yeah,
This,
they're
this,
done.
this isn't
They're
gonna work. Let's be honest.
it's fucking over. It's over. All right. Next, Killax214. This one's for me. How does it feel to join Emperor Tour to the dark side, Tony, at 1080p or 4K, 60 frames a second? Have your eyes opened up to a new world? Let me know because I'm hungry lately for a good PC rig. Hail Torrance Davis. Thank you for asking this question because I was actually going to do a little bit of vamping on the same subject. I need to talk about this whole PC shit right now, man. Yes, my eyes have opened to the other side. No, you guys almost had me. Almost fucking had me. I almost became that dude. Almost became that dude. That's like, okay, I'm buying all my third-party games on PC. I almost became that fucking guy. Then I saw the required specs for Quantum Break. Then I saw the required specs for Gears of War. And my PC that I just had for a month is already fucking outdated. So now I got to get a 980 Ti to play these games at the recommended settings. Fuck that shit. I'm sticking with console gaming, man. I'll play the odd game on PC. I'll play the odd game on PC, but I'm not gonna go upgrade my fucking shit. One of my friends works on Coalition. He said you need to upgrade your hard drive. I mean your graphic drive at least every 2 years if you want to stay up to date. Like, come on, man. Like, here's the thing. If I buy a PS4, that's gonna be up to fucking date until the PS5. That's it. It's not going to be outdated. It's going to be top of the line until the PS5 comes out, right? That's simple. I like that. I bought this PC to, render my fucking videos, and it does a glorious job of that. I'm sticking with that because, buying a fucking graphics card every 6 months is fucking crazy. And to quote Manny, he's, this is what PC gaming is about.
That's part of it. I mean, the thing is, I kind of knew this also would happen to you too. Because, again, it happens to a lot of the guys out there who are just like, okay, you get to a point. Officially, if you think about it, your PC was already outdated when you bought it.
The instant I bought it.
Because also the thing is that also Torrance was thinking about your budget. So he got you a card that was released earlier in the year. There's already new cards that are way more powerful than that just came out pretty recently or coming pretty recently. So the thing is that's, what were you going to say, Brett?
Brett.
I just wanted to point out, Tony, that you do realize that even if you don't meet the recommended specs, that it still may play better on your PC under the recommended specs than it actually does on
I
PS4.
totally understand that, but at the same time, like on my PS4, it's always going to run at the highest settings, no matter what, for the PlayStation 4.
You're always guaranteed a smooth and enjoyable experience. Basically, you're saying like you're always guaranteed a quality experience on your PlayStation.
Yeah,
Street Fighter.
Or an optimized experience. Well, that's online. The actual game works, but yeah, I'm always guaranteed the optimized peak performance on the PlayStation. Yes, it may not be comparable to PC, but we're not comparing consoles to PC. We don't do that around here. That's silly. We're comparing console to consoles, PC to PC. PS4 is the best, most powerful console out now, and it will be for another 3 or 4 years, right? PC's already fucking outdated for gaming. It's like, I'm going to stick with my original plan and just game on my PlayStation as always. And here's some other things I wanted to add up too. Playing Far Cry Primal, that opened my eyes. This game looks fucking gorgeous, beautiful. I'm like, okay, I'm granted it probably looks a little bit better on PC, but it looks good enough on my PS4 where I'm just like drooling the whole time. PS4 has great fucking graphics. And the other thing, this came to me last night. I was, with Riku and stuff in a chat room. I came into his chat room, a bunch of dudes came in, we were talking. It's like, I like this, like people, everybody can just come into the chat room and just talk and stuff. On PC, I'm mostly a single player guy. It's kind of lonely too, It's like I can't have my buddies just jumping in and talking trash and stuff. I just like the whole console space in that end. It just suits me better. So
you can, but you have to set it up.
Yeah, you have to go through Skype and all this other stuff that's not built into it.
Skype or TeamSpeak or Steam has a chat that works all right. Here's the thing I want to ask you about.
Yes.
So Tony, you're all set up on the PC now. Like, what'd you think about that link I sent you earlier today?
Hold on, because you sent it on my phone. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. Another reason. Okay, so Brett sent me this link. Basically, I didn't even know this was an organized thing, Brett. I blew my mind. Okay, so anyway, there's a site out there that's specifically to make PC hacks, and they hacked the division already to aim assist and all that other shit. It's like, come on, guys, are you fucking kidding me? And then so I tweeted this out, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, that'll be patched by day one." I'm like, "Yeah, it probably will be. What about the next hack and the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that?" You know, even when I'm playing Street Fighter V on PS4, right? I always choose play with PS4 only, guys. I'm not playing you fucking PC dudes. I don't even know. I'm just being honest. Unless I know you personally on PC, I'm not playing against PC players because they're all a bunch of fucking cheats. You know, so I'm not doing that shit. I'm sorry, you know. So no, I'm sticking with my consoles. I'm happy with my console. You know, PC is, you know, again, I'll play the occasional PC game for fun or whatever, but that's not going to be my main system. You know, fuck that. Yeah, my eyes got open big time. You know, my shit's already outdated. My PS4 ain't going to get outdated. You know, not for another 3 or 4 years. Fuck that shit. And my thing is, I know some of you guys are thinking, Tony, but you can still play games. Yes, I know I can play the games, and I know it'll be better than PS4. But my thing is, if I am not playing at recommended specs, then there's no fucking point in playing in the first place. You know, that's what I see. I'm very extreme, people. You know me, I'm black and white. You know? So there. Thank you for asking that question. I'm pretty sure some people are gonna get pissed off, but being honest.
Tony would rather have a full small cup than a half full large cup.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of saying it. Exactly. You know, because yeah, exactly. The games will always be optimized for my PS4. I'm getting the best possible version of that game. I can't say the same thing on PC. There's always, you know, like next 6 months, the fucking game's not going to be as upgrade as it could have been. I don't want to deal with that shit. You know how disheartening that is, man? I get this fucking awesome PC, spent nearly $1,500 on it, now without the add-ons, just to find out, hey, I can't play Quantum Break at at recommended levels. Fucking stupid. Fuck that shit. You know?
Perfect supporting example, Tony. Rachel and I, for some random reason, can't play Civ 5 anymore. Like it just stopped working. The game's been out for like 4 fucking years. Wow. Multiplayer just shot the bed. It just stopped working one day. Why? I don't know. Cause PC, the router setting, PC setting. Who the fuck is Steam setting? Who the fuck knows? Nobody can figure out. No forums can help. All I know is I would be dealing with this shit on the PlayStation.
Exactly.
Not saying I don't like PC, but goddamn, like every once in a while, like my games can just like break for no reason.
Yeah, who wants to deal with that shit? Especially coming off of decades of playing on consoles. Come on, man. You know, there's just something could be said, you know, about how superior the console experience is. I know some of you PC guys are gonna get mad. If Brian was here, he'd be having fucking steam coming out of his ears right now. Steam, you know, pun intended. But yeah, that's it, people. No, none of that for me. You know. All right. Moving on, I heard rumors that with the success of Deadpool, now Hollywood will consider making more R-rated comic book movies. Do you think this is a good or a bad thing? First of all, not a rumor, it's happening. The next Wolverine movie is going to be rated R. X-Force is probably rated R. So is it a good or bad thing? This is what we've been wanting, man, since Blade. You know?
Yo, man, everybody forgets about Blade.
Yeah, I mean the only bad side, just to play devil's advocate, I can see is like if people are just trying to make gritty, bloody movies just for the sake of it. It's not, instead of making letting that stuff enhance the story, they're just throwing it in there because they can or because they know it's gonna grab people. You know what I mean? Like Deadpool did it in the right way. I don't want people going, oh wait, this movie succeeded because it was violent. It had a lot of curses. Let's do that. Like, no, the movie succeeded because it was really a fucking movie. Let's not forget that part. But aside from that, yes, I think it's a good thing. We need that. Here's the thing, comic book movies have become kind of standardized now, so we need something like that to shake the fucking genre up, to keep it fresh and going, I
want to say I saw Deadpool for the 3rd time in theaters, and something that I noticed on the 3rd go around was like just the quality of the movie actually really shone through, and I think people will maybe people are more astute than me and they've already noticed this, but it'll really kind of shine through when it comes out on video. The quality of this movie is actually just fucking spot on. The choreography, The timing is great. The effects are awesome. Even and this is one thing that I've been noticing a little bit in movies. They do time dilation amazingly well, and that's what I pretty much walked out of the theater just praising it up and down for. This last time was the time dilation, the way that they'll slow a moment down or speed a moment up, and there are the really dramatic moments where they almost kind of freeze time. Deadpool's like, "Did I leave the stove on?" But if you actually really watch the action scenes closely, they'll kind of slow down and speed up parts in the action fights, just like a comic book does. And this is the thing that really made me happy, is they looked at a comic book and they understood the spirit of, you go through all these small panels and you break out into this really big, awesome panel, and time almost kind of seems to slow down. And they actually went out of their way to try and capture that feeling. So I'm supporting Tony's point here in the sense that it is a well-constructed, well-crafted movie that is still good the third time around. Like, that's what makes this movie good. So there is a very big problem. People might be like, "Oh, boobies and guns, swearing and
Yeah, it's like you're missing the point here, guys. You're missing the point here.
But you see the thing that could potentially happen, where essentially we could get it may mean that we may get some good rated R superhero movies, but we may end up getting, because it may wind up becoming the new thing, a whole bunch of shitty rated R of superhero films.
Exactly. So I hope people don't take the lesson of like, oh, Deadpool was successful.
I think it has nothing to do with people. It has to do with fucking Hollywood.
Yeah,
Hollywood can't.
Thank you.
They can't. You remember whenever something comes along, the rest of Hollywood starts to try to do that. Like, when we go all the way back to when Star Wars did it, right? It's like after Star Wars happened, what happened? A bunch of shitty fucking space movies came out.
Yeah,
oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, I need to add this, Brett. All that stuff you talk about, time dilation. Zack Snyder perfected that already, but I feel in this movie it was done not as much in your face. It felt more natural. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back to watch any Zack Snyder movie, any of them, especially 300, they did that shit constantly, but it seemed a little bit. It took you out of the moment a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely agree. Zack Snyder does an amazing job of that, but that's you're kind of hitting on the point that I'm talking about. They did it so that you didn't notice it happening. It took me almost until the third go around to notice, they did it a couple obvious times, but the fact that it's interspersed through almost all of the action scenes, like none of them actually play out in real one-to-one time ratio. It's constricted and expanded in an artistic fashion, but not so much in a way that you notice it happening, just in a way that it does its job, and that hits that perfect point, in my opinion, of finally, well done. And this is an evolution. I even saw this. The Avengers movies did it, but they did it a little bit more ham-fisted. This is the first time that I was like, I didn't notice the time dilation and the sheer quantity of the amount of times that they used it. Like, it wasn't just, every once in a while to slow down something on a really cool epic moment. They used it liberally in an effort to enhance. It's kind of like you've seen 3D before, but the first time you see it used in Avatar, you're like, wait a minute, they're not just popping stuff out at you, they're also drawing stuff back. It made you realize how this tool could be used a little bit more effectively than it's been used. So I'm sure, again, take all this with a huge grain of salt, because huge Deadpool fanboy right here. Huge Deadpool fanboy. But I also want to point out the fact that, aren't huge fanboys the most critical? The fact that I love this movie so much, and being a huge Deadpool fanboy kind of does have to say something, doesn't it?
Yes, I definitely think that.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, you got a guy like me who still thinks of Deadpool as that idiot from the '90s that Rob Liefeld came up with. I love this movie, so yeah, it's a pretty universal movie when it comes to comic book guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say one thing about the time dilation thing with you, Brett, but don't you feel like that because it's being done so much nowadays that you don't notice it, because it is pretty much done in every single movie that you watch or want to watch?
Good question.
That is entirely possible. Like I said, it's not so much that they used it; it's that they used it in a very. They used it with a lot of finesse, and I'd like to say that ever since I got into comic books and like I found out how storyboards work and everything like that. Like I've been fascinated by how movies are put together. So I love watching something the first time for the information, and then I'll watch it the second time and watch how they break from scene to scene, watch how they stage a scene, watch how they tempo a scene, because I find that stuff fascinating. So I want to say that I generally look out for this kind of thing. And there's a lot of times when I'll roll my eyes, when somebody does it, and even in the Avengers movies, I was like, it looks really fake when they break to that scene where they all kind of jump over the log and the camera pans. I was like, it looks so fake, but it also looks so good. And it's usually like this kind of thing I've seen done a lot in real heavy action movies, but I want to say I haven't seen it quite used like this. And maybe it's just that I haven't been paying attention, or I've been exposed enough that it's finally catching up to me.
It's kind of like quick jump cuts, not I mean, the first films that used to do it, like it probably was pretty jarring for people, but then after a while, it just became part of the visual language of film,
Yeah,
this is entirely possible. That could be a discussion in and of itself, because I was telling my my dad, and I'm going off on a little bit of a side tangent here. My mom never watched movies as a kid. She never went to the movies or anything like that. So whenever we go to the movies as a family, my mom does not join us. And a peculiar thing has surfaced because of this, in the sense that she can't really follow plots very well. She can't follow characters. She can't follow things that are going around. She doesn't understand the idea of foreshadowing. And this actually harkened back to when cinema was first coming out, the idea of like cutting from a thing to the thing, like, or even the idea of cutting into a close-up of somebody, was so jarring to film audiences that they didn't do it very much. So old movies, when you go back, they have a lot of like long kind of static shots. They're not very dynamically filmed, because the audience couldn't keep up. And it's interesting to actually run into this in somebody who hasn't been exposed to a lot of movies throughout their whole life, and actually see them unable to follow these jump cuts and these close-ups and these pan shots, and they get confused and not understand what's going on. So I think you definitely have a very good point there.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
Well, I mean,
go ahead,
I was going to say one more thing. As far as the rated R films, I mean, here's the thing: they tried to do a rated R film with the Wolverine, right? But the studio got cold feet and then just cut it. And it's but you can buy the movie rated R version on DVD. But the problem, it stinks that it had to, this is weird because it had to take this one property, which obviously is about as big as a Wolverine, but as far as film budget wise, it costs about as much to make that film as Blade did. So it took them to kind of take this smaller movie to kind of show everybody, hey, they can do these. So we can do these sorts of rated R movies, even though we've kind of been doing them since we've been doing. You had Blade, and then you even had Kick-Ass. But the thing about Kick-Ass is he's not like an established, not established, but he's not as well known as somebody like a Deadpool or Wolverine.
I think the thing they were afraid of too is like they've done hyperviolence. Like hyperviolence is Kill Bill. That's done. It's the kind of the avant-garde attitude, the embracing being a bad guy. It's the sexuality. It's the boobies. It's all of these things put together in the sense that like Deadpool's almost like he's a bad guy. He is a bad guy, but he's also a good guy, and that's it's really hard to portray outside of the violence realm. Like we're really comfortable with violence, and they tried to back out of this movie too. This thing took almost 10 years to get off the ground. It took Ryan Reynolds funding the CGI trailer and then leaking it in order to get the studio to finally greenlight it. They cut the budget on them multiple times. One of the reasons Deadpool forgets his guns is because they cut the budget on them, so they couldn't afford the big firefight they wanted to do. So like this movie, like if you actually follow the creation of it, like it's actually hugely beautiful, because they tried to sabotage this movie, as Fox has a habit of doing, over and over and over and over. And Ryan Reynolds and the guy that plays the bartender are the only two people that really had a lot of faith in it. They bucked up and they put money in it, and Ryan Reynolds took a reduced pay cut in order to be in the movie, so I'm sure he made more on the back end. So this is kind of a beautiful against Hollywood underdog story. And I think and I hope that at least some filmmakers realize that the audience is sending you a very clear message. They don't want apologetic. They don't want safe. It's not about, adding a squelch sound effect every time somebody gets shot in the face. They want people and stories that explore different avenues and are unapologetic about it. Like, you don't have to hit all of these. And it's the thing that I love about this, and this is just me personally, it's like, this movie gets the fucking social justice warriors craws like nobody's business. Like, this is the Antichrist movie. It is everything that is wrong. It is not sensitive. It is triggering. It is blatantly irresponsible and blatantly offensive, but everybody loves it. So it's. I think this is the kind of the backlash that we're seeing to the whole social justice warrior, safety triggered movement kind of thing. Like, people are kind of sick of that, and they're ready for somebody to just get out there and embrace just not doing that. I hope that some people figure that out. I want to say that at least a few people will. And I want to say at least Fox is smart enough to go hands off for the rest of the Deadpool franchise, because they know very well they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, I mean, if Fantastic Four is any sign, they literally go from like a big budget bullshit movie to like a smaller budget, and that thing made way more than that shitty Fantastic Four.
It teaches them something,
Oh yeah, they spent a lot of money. There was an entrenched fan base. They were good to go. They had the hype. They had the marketing. They had everything. And that movie failed. And then they're like, no. Ryan Reynolds is the same kind of success story that Bloodborne was. Like, they tried to keep it under a cloth. They're like, shh, you stay in the back. Let the pretty people get the spotlight. And then somebody goes out on stage, falls out in their face, and boom, the second-hand underdog comes out, wins the show.
Hey, all right, move on here. Last question from Killax. If there was a major blackout for a month, no electricity, what will you do to keep yourself occupied? Read a book, draw, play board games, etc. I would learn how to board up my home, keep it safe from burglars. Because if it's a blackout, there's going to be riots fucking everywhere,
Well, you were in a blackout, dude.
For a night,
nobody was trying to fucking steal your shit.
For a night.
A month.
Shit is gonna get real after a month. People are gonna go crazy. Civilization has fallen. We're back at the Stone Age. Shit has gotten real now.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have time to sit down and read books and play board games because there'd be riots.
Let's say you had a bunker or something like that. Like, in the spirit of the question.
Okay, because that's the first time someone's going to try to kill me, a month? Okay, in the spirit of question, it says you had a bunker. What would you do? By the way, my first answer was fucked up. I'm like, kill myself? It's like, Tony, a month.
Why would you?
I don't know. That's the first thing that came out, like, kill yourself. It's a month, Tony. Probably go back to fucking drawing again. I haven't drawn in fucking years. I'll probably just go back to that, bring up my chops, read books and stuff, learn how to actually see at night, I guess. My eyes would have to... Here's the thing. During that first blackout, I tried to read, but, the candle, it was like, it just wouldn't work. Like, the light wasn't good enough, but I guess I have to just adjust my eyes or something.
You need brighter candles.
Yeah.
Or you go to sleep when the sun goes down.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
That's also good. But
again, it's hard to sleep when your air conditioner isn't working. It's fucking hot,
So, for me on that, I would have. I mean, I did it before. I drew by candlelight. When that blackout happened, happened. What was that? Oh, when was that, Chris?
That was
2003.
2003. Yeah, I was doing. I had some artwork done, due for a children's book. So what I was doing when Chris found me in the house, I was literally painting and drawing by candlelight in my living room. I'm like, yay, this is nice. So I'd probably be doing that. Maybe I might read a book. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I have like a backlog of manga. I have a few graphic novels I could read. Not regular novels, and then just draw. There's plenty I could do and entertain myself. And then at night, just sit there with a spear waiting for someone to break in.
They're coming.
Well, remember, Texas is the land of guns, so...
Oh yeah, those will work without power. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'll just sit there with a shotgun at the doorway, like, yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and wait.
Wait, man. All right. Brett, what would you do?
I reread my backlog of giant, thick, nerdy fantasy novels.
Yes.
I'd reread The Wheel of Time. I could get through that in a month.
There you go.
Also draw, and I'd probably play liberal amounts of D&D with a group of other
Nice.
shut-ins, depending on who they were.
See, there you go. All right. Next up, Mr. Ferngully. Rumor. Another Nintendo question. Rumor has it all but confirmed that the NX won't have third-party support. Chris, I'm pretty sure you read this. One developer apparently guaranteed it. If this is the case, do you think Nintendo should just hang it up? Again, yes. Let's just break it down. So basically, you know how NeoGAF has actual developers on there sometimes, right? Yeah. So one developer was like, "Yeah, we don't expect third-party support on this shit." We've been talking to other people, other big third-party guys, and they're like, "We don't trust Nintendo," which kind of goes back to what Ubisoft said. It's like, we're gonna wait till see what this system does first, then we'll see about supporting it.
I think that's the general thing for most of those developers.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. That doesn't mean just because they're not getting third-party support, that doesn't mean they can't get indie support. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but they support indie.
That's the problem. Yeah, Nintendo is not as welcoming as like Sony and Microsoft or even PC. Like anybody can just jump on and make and get a license Unreal Engine, a license whatever, build something, and then contact someone. It seems like the barrier for entry on the console is way lower, except for Nintendo. Their barrier to entry is kind of ridiculous.
To be honest, it would actually be a really smart move to try to fill out their game library.
Right. And they only approach indies that have been successful, like Shovel Knight
guides.
Yeah, exactly. They only approach them because Shovel Knight was such a success already. They wouldn't give a shit about Shovel Knight if it didn't do the kind of numbers it did. So that's their problem right there. They're still stuck in the past where they think they're still hot shit, and they're not.
They also suffer from severely mismarketing or bad marketing strategy. That's what I meant to say. Let me try and propose this point as eloquently as I can. When you guys were young, if somebody came and had two toys in their hand, and one toy was for kids, appropriate to your age group, and the other was a black shiny thing for adults, which one would you want?
Wait, hold on, we're back. Black shiny thing for adults, Brett. Please reiterate that, because you know what I'm thinking about right now.
Okay, not a big black dildo.
Okay, yeah, just to iterate that, because you just said a big black thing for adults.
I'm talking about electronics, like if somebody's like, here's a leapfrog or a laptop, are you gonna be like, yeah, I want the thing for kids?
No, hell yeah, you take the laptop, dude.
Yeah, you want the electronic, yeah.
You at least when I was a kid, I always wanted the thing is like if I was 12, did I want the thing made for 12-year-old or the thing that pandered towards adults? Like, no, I want the thing that pandered towards adults. I want to watch the Alien movies. I want to watch Hellraiser. I want to see adult TV. I want to play adult video games because this kid shit is for the fucking birds.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Nintendo just focuses completely on this kid-friendly, squeaky clean image. And it in the last few months especially, I've really been wondering, like, who the fuck are you pandering to? Because the only thing I can figure out is the parents to buy something for their kids. But that's never been a super successful demographic, has it?
It actually is a super successful demographic, and that's part of the reason why they hit it. But the thing is that at this point in time, parents don't know what the thing is.
No, they know what the thing is. It's the thing that they're playing. The parents out there want to be able to sit their kids down with Disney Infinity or Minecraft or whatever, and then later on fire up Halo or Gears or something else, or Call of Duty when the kid's asleep. That needs to happen on a system that can support both.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't have that system, and they're not going to have it because they have created so much bad blood with the third parties. They don't support them, and this has now come around to bite them in the ass. They've always given third-party guys lousy support, lousy turnaround, and now these guys are like, well, fuck you. We'll see how you do, and then maybe we'll check this thing out. And guess what? That's a self-fulfilling prophecy because if nobody's supporting them, nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah.
and then they're not going to do well, and then EA and Ubisoft are going to go, well, see, good, we didn't make an investment in that, so too bad.
Yeah, and especially the past investments that they've made in it, they haven't really done very well for them.
Yeah, exactly. So
basically,
I think also the other problem with it is it's like it's something, if you're already playing an Xbox or if you're already playing on a PlayStation, a Call of Duty game, why would you want to play it again on the Nintendo thing?
Exactly.
So the thing is that that what Nintendo would have to do is they'd have to somehow create unique titles to them that are of the same genres.
right,
Because
but they're not going to do that because they don't
that.
know how. They're going to continue to reap their legacy and make the games in order to make another Zelda, another Star Fox, another Metroid, another Donkey Kong, another Mario. It's just the same things over and over and over again. And only that core, those hardcore nut jobs and a few parents are going to buy into that. And everybody else, we've moved on.
See, I find that almost insulting because that feels like they're holding the beloved franchise hostage. Like we're not going to give you the same thing that you get from the other consoles. We're going to give you those 5 games that you love from when you were a kid. But if you want those 5 games, man, you're going to have to pay through the nose for them. But we know you want them. Like I hate to say it, I stopped playing Zelda. I never thought that 16-year-old me would probably fight me for saying that, but I'm so sick of Nintendo shit. But would I go right back if they became a third-party developer? Like, absolutely, I would.
Well, yeah, we said this before. Actually, I think Tony and I had this conversation. If you put Zelda, if there was a big boy Zelda on a PS4, of course we would play it. Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, but that's not happening, because Nintendo just caters for the kids.
Yeah, I mean, always kids will. One thing you also Brett mentioned this earlier. The kids will always be will be interested in what the big what the adults are playing. I mean, they even said, I remember in when I think Mark Cerny or somebody was talking about this at the time when they were testing. They were testing games like Ratchet and Clank and stuff, and that. When they had an older kid in the room, he would always be like, this is kid stuff. And then all the other kids would change their opinion based on him because he's the older guy. And they want to do what he's doing, which is probably playing Halo or God of War or something.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on. Here's a funny one. Are you a Baskin Robbins 31 flavors kind of person or Dairy Queen? I have a question before we go. Do we have a Dairy Queen in New York?
No, it's mostly Baskin Robbins.
Yeah. So Baskin Robbins by default because that doesn't exist in New York.
Yeah. Even growing up in Queens and stuff, there's a Dairy Queen way out in Long Island somewhere.
Yeah, Long Island.
We grew up with Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins, yeah.
And exactly. Even coming down here, that's all I see is Baskin Robbins. So
yeah, so Baskin Robbins by default. Although I will say, even though it's not a store, I'm a Haagen-Dazs kind of man. That's my joint.
Yeah, Haagen-Dazs is nice. You go to the supermarket, get
Haagen-Dazs.
Over here in Pennsylvania, there is a Dairy Queen not far from me.
Yeah. So yeah, for that,
I'll try it. It's actually down the corner.
Man, you let me know how that is.
Yeah, you got
a couple blocks down. I'll be like,
you guys have not had Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen is the shit.
We don't have that in New York, dude. It doesn't exist in New York.
Man.
No.
Okay. Like you know what McFlurry? You know what a McFlurry is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That is the world's shittiest imposter of a blizzard.
Oh man.
Like that's based on something that's a real thing and actually good to eat, as opposed to the monstrous concoction they try and force down your gullet at McDonald's.
It's kind of like how in some areas, like there are a Jack in the Box, and there aren't Jack in the Boxes. Like there's no Jack in the Boxes here in New York City.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Okay, but you're comparing Dairy Queen to Jack in the Box, and that's just mean.
Yeah.
They're just saying that just some franchises don't exactly exist in certain.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure their Dairy Queen started as a Rust Belt thing and has kind of spread out from there. But they're good medium tier ice cream. I do have to say though, if you have a Culver's near you, they're better in every regard.
All right, so there you go.
There's also Carvel.
Carvel, remember Carvel from back in the day?
Carvel was one of that was the two we had. We had
Carvel and Baskin Robbins.
Baskin
I
Robbins.
have
Yeah.
no idea what a Carvel is.
That's
funny.
totally regional.
Yeah, it's a regional one. Yeah,
I remember that old commercial too. We make good ice cream every day at Carvel.
I remember the older one with the old guy. Remember?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we got Cookie O Pussy and Pudgy the Whale.
Oh yeah. Because Carvel used to sell the ice cream cakes.
Yeah, that's how the ice cream cake company. Old school, man. All right. Last question by Mr. Ferngully. Do you think any publishers/developers were inspired by CD Projekt Red approach with DLC on The Witcher? This Street Fighter V bullshit is looking bad as ever for the future of getting complete games. Have any publishers done what CD Projekt has done? Haven't really seen them.
No,
I don't
actually,
believe
no.
so.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red is an independent developer who can do these things because they don't respond to board with shareholders. They can pretty much do whatever they want, which goes back to the thing I constantly talk about of the evils of publicly traded companies and how they're bad for you.
Yeah, but you don't say that about Sony, apparently, right, Brett?
Oh, I do say that about Sony. Absolutely. Sony is their intentions aren't any better. They're just smarter in the way that they're going about it. They're like, we want your money. Okay. And then Xbox is like, we want your money. And you're an asshole. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go with the first one because that was kind of a dick thing. Like, that's my general breakdown of the companies. But
yeah, right.
you have independent developers who like CD Projekt Red, who are actually they're actually worried about how you view them as a company, how their games are remembered, how they're remembered, how you're going to feel the next time they go to release a game, because they're smart people who care about their product, and they should be emulated. So you'll see independent developers following suit, absolutely. But is anybody at EA going to do that? Fuck no, because EA doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah, EA is going to make you pay out of the ass, and they're going to take that DLC and split it into 5 different parts, so you pay for each part.
Yeah, because even if there was somebody in EA who liked you, who loved you as a person, their boss is 5 other assholes who have no regard for the company whatsoever. They just want to inflate a number so they can sell that number and make some money, so that they can get that beach and that beach house in the Hamptons. Like it's a weird disconnect that happens, and that's my problem too. Is like the people trading these shares don't give a fuck about, like, you are in the same pocket as industrial energy and stock in private prisons and penny stocks in technologies and all this other shit. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. They care as much about the game quality that Sony or Microsoft is releasing as they do about the quality of the sprockets and the back massager from Taiwan that they're helping to fund ship over to the States. Like, it doesn't fucking matter to them. They don't care. And there's this weird disconnect. Like, that's the problem. This is, again, what I talked about last week. Like, there is no evil conglomerate out to get you. They're right fucking there. But
they're already getting you.
Yeah, they're already getting you. They meet in big, well-lit boardrooms. They hold up signs, and they have offices specifically for this. It's probably paneled in mahogany, and drivers drive them there in expensive cars. Like, they're not hiding. There are no cloaks. But then there are people like CD Projekt Red, and if we as the consumer can support them enough as developers and make it clear that we're doing it because of the good graces that they've shown their community, then you can start to minimize the backslide the other way from places like EA, because EA will never be like, we should give something good to the consumers, but they will be like, shit, we're looking like real shitbags right now compared to some of these other companies that are doing some pretty cool stuff. So I guess we kind of have to do this, or it's probably a bad time to roll out that new DLC when they just gave all of their their people free DLC for now and forever. So go ahead.
You can actually look at what CD Projekt Red is doing, and then literally look at what their publisher has done with the Batman game, where essentially they split out all the DLCs into all these different parts that you can buy separately, or you spend another $60 and buy all the DLC.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Phantom Vash makes his return. All right. So first one is, what are your thoughts on Wolverine 3 being based on Old Man Logan? Manny and I had a very good discussion about this after we saw Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing about, okay, on the surface of it, it's pretty cool, right? Because that's a really cool, good story. Thing is, 90% of it you can't use because those characters don't fucking exist in the X-Men universe.
Yes.
Like, literally, like, you know, again, I could spoil it because the fucking thing's been out for 10 years, right? The final battle, or one of the final battles, is Wolverine wearing Iron Man's armor, chopping off the head of Red Skull with Captain America's shield. And the final boss in the whole thing is the Hulk. You don't have any of these people. So
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell they're
You
going
totally have to. You totally have to really. You literally have to scour the X-Men universe and create the portions of that movie that will happen. Or they could just go a whole new different direction.
They would have to. I think it would have to be Old Man Logan in name only. It's like, you can't have a cross-country trip with Hawkeye when you can't have Hawkeye in the movie.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Like, a lot of the representations that they have of those, like, it's an Elseworld title, right? So, like, you may get into a kind of gray area where they're not using the actual Hawkeye that's making money and that's currently in use and all these things. They're using the Old Man Logan variant of Hawkeye.
They can't use the character Hawkeye, though, at all.
He's not part of the X-Men stuff. So.
Well, but they might be able to get him cheaper if they're not using the actual character that other people are using in movies. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, they can't use Hawkeye.
They can't like, just straight up at all?
They can't use Hawkeye. The only clause in that their goofy little contracts with them is the fucking Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which we've seen in the last X-Men film.
Yeah. You can't use it just because they're variants of those characters. They can't use them. Yeah. Disney owns the rights to all those characters.
Well, no. I know Disney owns the right. I'm saying because they're variants, they may be Disney may be willing to let them buy them for an actual reasonable cost.
No, they're not going to do that.
You think it's just not going to have any of them? That's going to suck.
That's what I'm saying. Because remember, we have to think like these guys. They're not going to let them use any of those characters at all. Fox and Disney aren't exactly best buddies when it comes to this shit.
Of course, Disney still makes all the money off of it, makes money off of it. But the thing is that I'm sure it's in their, bites their craw because they could be making these, X-Men films, which, is just has the tenure on all the Avengers stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even Tom Brevoort, he's one of the executives at Marvel, right? He said, why are we going to give a lot of shine to X-Men when we don't own X-Men? Mm-hmm. They said themselves, so don't expect them to play buddy-buddy at all, so they would have to completely redo the story. Like, Wolverine's going to go on a cross-country adventure with an X-Men character, not an Avenger, I
mean, the thing is that you can think of surrogates. You can, if you want to retell the story as it is, you can try to find a bunch of surrogates. You can, I don't know, maybe they'll put fucking Gambit in there again.
Him and Gambit, and then the final boss will be like Apocalypse. I don't know.
Well, the final boss could be friggin' the Juggernaut.
It could be Juggernaut. Yeah, it would have to be replaced. Everybody would have to be replaced. Mm-hmm. But I do like the fact that they're trying to make an Old Man Logan. That would be really cool.
I think one thing they have to do is, I think they're going to do is to just break the story down to its barest essentials and then try to fill in the roles that need to be played.
Like, if this is the crucial part of me, because the movie needs to be mostly him trying not to become the old Wolverine, right? Because he killed the X-Men. He doesn't want to do that. And then when he pops his fucking claws again, what, Brett? The fucking comic's been out for ages. You
could have still thrown a spoiler warning in there.
I'm not putting a spoiler warning for a comic that's 10 years old. That's stupid. I'm not doing that.
With the increased interest due to the upcoming film, you don't think that there might be a couple people who are like, I should pick up that comic, but never mind.
You should have fucking read it. That's not my fault.
Tony is at his zero tolerance plan.
I give you 1 year of spoiler, and this has been 10 fucking years. So don't give me that.
I actually have to agree with that. I mean, it's been out so long.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. I can just see somebody being like, man, this sounds pretty cool. That Old Man Logan comic.
That's like all of a sudden if they decide Iron Man 4 is going to be Demon in a Bottle, and we discuss the whole comic book, and they're like, that's a spoiler. Demon in a Bottle is like 20-something years old? It's like, no, there's no spoiler alert.
Hey, got news for you. What's his face from what's his face from Walking Dead actually dies.
I like how you said, "What's his face?"
What's his face? The Asian kid. What's his name?
Yeah, he dies in the comics. Will he
Yeah.
die in the show? We don't know. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's like those assholes. Oh, you spoiled King Kong for me. Fuck you. Like, no, come on, man.
That's
Get the
just
fuck out of
stupid.
Main guy
Yeah.
loses his hand in Walking Dead. Oh my God! It's a 10-year-old spoiler right there.
Yeah, but anyway, so if it hits the crucial marks, Wolverine kills the X. But even the guy who made him kill the X-Men, you have to replace Mysterio with like Mastermind or something, you know?
Oh no, dude! Fucking Mastermind or Arcade.
Yeah,
Right.
either of those two.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
anyway,
think they'd remake it with surrogates. I think. Oh God. Okay. Okay. Let's keep in mind the who we're talking about here and their past track record, and let's completely set aside Deadpool because they had next to no creative control in that actual movie. They're just going to be like, we'll just call it Old Man Logan and write a whole new thing on it.
they can.
You know what? You know what we could do? We could make some synergy with some of the movies that we're bringing out. Who's in some movies that we're bringing out that we have the rights to? Let's put them in here.
Yeah, I mean they could do that too. I mean Marvel's been doing that. They're making like Age of Ultron had nothing to do with the actual Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
You know, so it could be that same deal. You know, it's just hey, that's a cool
It's
name.
old Logan in name only.
Yeah, he's an old Wolverine. You know, but not that old. You know, he's still got to look good too for the ladies. All right. So yeah, you know, it should be cool. Any other thoughts on Wolverine? Being Old Man Logan, Wolverine 3.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chris.
either it's gonna go from just surrogates and then try to follow the story to a completely veered off story where they could go off the rails, and this is Fox we're talking about,
Yeah.
and we could end up with Origins Wolverine instead of Old Man Logan. That's the concern I have.
The last Wolverine film did really well, and it was a good script. It was good. It was a good movie.
See,
I
to be
think-
fair, the last X-Men movies, and I am counting Deadpool, have been pretty good. The last
Yeah.
4 of them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but Deadpool doesn't count because Fox
Yes, it
didn't
does count. That's
pick it up.
Brett. Who was his sidekick? It was fucking Colossus. It's an X-Men movie, dude.
No. I agree, but like the thing about it is they had very little creative control in this. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so that shows a pattern, right? The less creative control that Fox exerts, the better the movie, right?
Yeah,
Because Fantastic Four was overexertion of
Yeah,
creative
exactly.
control, and Fantastic Four is a disaster.
Exactly.
So let's just
Yeah.
hope that they let the director and the writers, whatever, try to adopt Old Man Logan the best way they can for the screen without the use of the rest of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how they pull it off, but it should be interesting if they pull it off right. You know. All right. Next up, and I actually did a story about this too. What are your thoughts on the real Sword Art Online VR game that's being made? Yes, there's a Sword Art Online VR game coming. Hey, it's being more like the anime now, minus the death part.
Yes.
You know?
Maybe you lose a bunch of money in real life.
Like, you can actually scan your entire body, and then you put that into the game. Even though you won't be able to see it because VR and everything. You know.
have you also heard that this isn't actually a game and it's just a marketing stunt?
No, they're doing it. They're going to be showing it off next month in Tokyo, the actual game.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute thing, but like apparently, according to Shun Kubuta, editor-in-chief for Magura VR, the leading virtual reality publication in Japan, he was asked point blank, so it's not actually a real game in development, it's just a marketing experience to show off VR, IBM Watson, and Sword Art Online, I asked, to which he responded, quote, exactly.
Okay.
Huh.
Interesting. I thought this was a legit game.
They are the problem comes, okay, not only are we trying to breach a language barrier here, but we're talking about a very confusing meta type of subject matter because it's a game. The source material is about a game that people play in VR.
Yeah.
And so when they're talking about the virtual world that you'll be inhabiting or the game that you'll be playing kind of thing, like it's kind of muddied up by all of these weird filters. So they could be, and this is the shining light here. Now what they could be is they could be trying to hype something up to gauge public reaction, and then this could be something that goes into development. But we're not going to be shown a unfinished part of a larger work that's being done. We are showing a small snippet of a fully flushed out experience. This isn't the tip of the iceberg. This is a piece of the iceberg that they cut off and are promising that they can find the rest of it.
Interesting. I guess we'll have to see then. All right. The last question. Another story I wrote. What are your thoughts on Vivendi trying to take over Ubisoft? Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So for you guys who don't know, so Vivendi is a big time corporation up in Canada, right? They're trying to buy Ubisoft. They're trying to be slick about it. They've been buying shares in Ubisoft stock, right? And they've also been buying shares in Gameloft, which is owned by Yves Guillemot's brother, right? So they're trying to do that to force Yves into a deal to buy Ubisoft outright. So what Ubisoft is doing now is they're trying to get as many Canadian investors as possible. They're even trying to get the Canadian government to invest in Ubisoft because they're like, listen, we know how to make our games. These guys are gonna, we're gonna be beholden to them. We don't want that shit. We want to stay independent. Very interesting, but it shows you what fucking corporate what's it, hostile takeovers are all about, man. It's some crazy shit. Like, Ubisoft doesn't want these people buying them out.
Damn.
This is what happens when you're publicly traded.
Well, I mean, they could also decide to start trying to buy back all of their stock.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get investors that are on their side to buy, stock and stuff, But the thing is, Vivendi really, they wanted, because they owned, was it Blizzard for a while, and they sold them off, and they're trying to get back into video game space, and they want Ubisoft, But Ubisoft, they did not want them buying those shares. But again, publicly traded, can't really do anything about that, And then these guys, if they have enough shares, they're going to be able to affect the board of directors and stuff, It's crazy shit.
Jeez, I don't even know what to say about that. I haven't heard about this kind of stuff in a long time, but I mean, Vivendi is just outright doing it dirty, man.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy. So I don't know. I remember they used to publish like shitty games, like
exactly
back in the day. So I really hope this doesn't come to pass. I hope Ubisoft can find some people to kind of stave that off.
Yeah, I know, because say what you will at Ubisoft, they still do more times than often make quality games, So definitely don't want some like third party guys, especially Vivendi, coming in fucking that up, I've been enjoying the shit out of Far Cry Primal, and hopefully Division will be good. Like, no, don't fuck it up. All right, anybody else have any thoughts? Go ahead, Brett. Don't care.
I'm not happy about it. My first thought is like, it couldn't happen to a better group of people. Like, Ubisoft clearly needs help. In my opinion, they have just spread out too far into too many different things. They come out with too many different games, too many different studios. Their quality control is all over the fucking place. They've pretty much branded themselves one of the worst companies in terms of ability to release a polished, optimized game. It's very clear to me that they spread themselves too thin, and so I equate that to mismanagement of the company. And one thing that I've kind of really turned around on over the last few years is you have creative types. I'm a fairly good example. And the best way that you work with creative types is you have somebody who's not necessarily a creative type helping to give led structure, and exploit the talents of the creative type. My wife is a perfect example of that. Between the two of us, we work better than either one of us ever could. And having seen things like Broken Age and the like, it's got me really wondering if the people who are really good at being creatives are also really good at structuring and delivering the rest of the package. Or even if we want them to be. Like, is somebody who's going to be good at all of the things going to be as good at some of the things? So at a certain point, I got to feel like Ubisoft, while they have good in them, they're not being managed very well as it is. And I don't know if I have a whole lot of faith that they're going to turn this around. Now, I don't know that the answer is for this company to buy them out. Generally, it doesn't sound like a good idea. It doesn't sound like it's going to fix things. But at the same time, like, if you just kind of leave Ubisoft to their own course, how much longer are they gonna fare? Like, for each good game that they come out with, it doesn't erase each bad game that they come out with. They've been slowly soiling their own reputation for the last 5-6 years. They're not doing well as a company, in my opinion, at least in the public
they're not
eye.
doing great, but they're still doing pretty fucking good. It's not like a Nintendo situation, by any means.
No,
Ubisoft is still generally doing good.
they're staying afloat because they're diversifying, but that's not the way to long-term success, in my opinion. They've put as many boats in the water in hope that some of them don't sink, but I don't think that that's the way to really make a quality product. They're reaping and not sowing, in my opinion. I don't see this as a long-term game plan, and I don't think honestly that Ubisoft has a long-term game plan other than, we have these franchises that work. So we'll put two development teams on Assassin's Creed, put 2 development teams on Far Cry, so that we can release those every year, and then we'll just pitch ideas after that and see what sticks. Throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and that. It just doesn't seem like there's a captain at the helm of this ship. Am I the only one who feels that way?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think Ubisoft's generally doing pretty fucking good. And no, I'm not being paid off by fucking Ubisoft to say that. I've been saying that shit for fucking years. I think Ubisoft is one of the top tier companies for a reason. And look what they're doing with Assassin's Creed. They're listening to people. It's like, we're gonna scale it back once every other year. Now we're getting shit like Far Cry. We're getting The Division. We're getting For Honor. We got little things like Valiant Hearts and Child of Light. Ubisoft is still putting out really good stuff. So, like the whole doom and gloom about Ubisoft, I don't see it. They're still kicking ass. Definitely one of the companies out there. That's how I see it, at least.
All right, now are you counting the games that they develop or the games that they publish, Tony?
It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. I don't see a difference. It's all the same thing. It's all Ubisoft.
Ugh.
We're not gonna get into that again, Brett. You know me. I don't see a difference. It's all Ubisoft. All right. Next up, QTB Branch. This is a new person. So, hello to you, sir.
Are you sure it's not somebody from the fans who just renamed themselves yet again?
He could have renamed himself, but this is a new name. I never seen that. So, hello. He goes, hello all. Great show. I don't often get to watch, so I'm sorry if any of these questions were already answered. First one is, I like how he titles these. First, he goes, Oscar Obsession. Which master thespian gave the best performance, regardless of race or gender, in the films we watched last year? Kind of a tricky thing because most acting is kind of middle of the road for me. There's no really standout people. I guess the guys from the Compton movie, that was really good. That's probably the best acting I saw last year, because everything else again, I just watch action movies, so the acting is always the same in all of them. It's like rah, rah, rah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the guy. And no one in particular. The guys from Straight Outta Compton, really good stuff. Especially the dude who played Ice Cube. That was his son. He acted just like him. It was crazy.
Well, nobody knows better than about his dad than his son, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Manny, who do you think did some good acting last year?
Did good acting last year. I haven't seen Straight Outta Compton. Oh, you know what? I did see the Rocky film, and with I can't remember the actor's name. I want to call him.
You mean Johnny Storm?
Yeah, or Human Torch. Yeah, I thought he did a really good job in that film. I also.
Oh yeah, his name is Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, yeah, he's fucking Michael Jordan. It's hilarious. Anyway, I think he did a really great job. I think Matt Damon did a really good job as in the film The Martian. Let's see who else. I'm drawing a blank on how many films I've seen last year. So.
Yo, man, what about Furiosa?
I think she did a good job. I think she, but then again, Charlize Theron already does a really good job in most of the things she's in. I don't think I've seen a bad acting job from her.
Yeah, Chris, what about you, man?
Well, I'm looking at the nominations, and most of these movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Danish Girl or Trumbo or The Revenant or the Steve Jobs movie, so I can't really talk to any of these actors. Hey, Michael Fassbender's a good actor.
Yeah,
I don't know how he did as Steve Jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But remember, and this is the question specifically for the movies you've seen. So don't
Oh,
fuck the
okay.
Oscars.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
fuck the Oscars.
I'm pretty much like you. I enjoy the movies, and I think if they did a good job and I'm happy with the movie, I'm fine. I only notice acting when it's freaking bad, right?
Yeah, that is
That's when I
true.
notice, like, hey, this is kind of fucked up, or this guy sucks. Like, I don't, I'm not like, oh my god, this performance was amazing. I never find myself like that. I'm usually like, wow, that sucked. You know, I'm more like that. So, I mean, shit, last year, I mean, Mad Max Fury Road was a great movie. I thought Tom Hardy did a great job in that. I thought Charlize Theron did a great job. And I don't know the guy who did a Morton Joe. He's awesome.
Oh, you mean the guy
Morton
from the
Joe,
original
yeah,
Mad
Yeah,
Max?
yeah.
That guy.
Give him an award.
yeah. You know what, Chris? You're right about that. I'm generally just like that. I don't really notice acting unless it's bad.
It's
You know?
bad, right, dude? I watched just for fun. We watched Batman Forever again, and it's like Batman Forever has good
Terrible
actors, probably Oscar-winning actors in it, like Nicole Kidman, and she's fucking terrible in that movie.
Yeah.
All the acting is bad in that movie. The movie's
Like
just bad.
friggin' Val Kilmer's just horrible in it.
Val Kilmer's horrible. She's horrible. Like, this movie's just terrible. But you have competent actors in it, but it's just a terrible movie, and their acting is shit. But you would think, are they bad actors? And it's like, no, because I'll see Nicole Kidman in other movies, and she does a great job. So it's like, what happened there? But yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just for movies I saw last year, like, was let's see. Besides, I'm blanking on some of this stuff. I'm like, getting old. I don't remember. Besides Mad Max, like, all right, what else did I watch last year? Avengers. That was awesome.
Yeah, and Star Wars.
Star Wars. Oh yeah, they did a great job. Why is nobody in Star Wars up for anything, man? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have
what
like
did
some
name?
special effects thing.
John Boyega. He did a great job.
Yeah, John Bodega.
Bodega.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people complain about Finn. To be fair,
Really? What did they complain about? That he was in the
they
movie
just
for
think
2
that the
minutes?
actor is a little deadpan. They're like, hey, he's not real great. Like he just doesn't strike me, man. I'm like, I guess that's fair.
I don't know. I don't see
Nah,
that.
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, Finn
I,
was
I
good.
thought he did too, but it's not just my opinion. I'm not sure if there's a reason that they think a stormtrooper or a leading man should act a certain way or something like that. But I've heard people say that they didn't think that that was one of the main criticisms that I heard from the movie. To be honest,
Interesting. Brett, what about you? Actors.
I thought Matt Damon did a really good job in The Martian.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was
Like
good.
they're most of the time I don't notice acting unless it's bad, but I do remember watching that and be like, I don't even like Matt Damon, but I like his character in this movie. Like he does a really good job. He holds up most of the movie by himself, so I kind of got to give it to that. I didn't think Mad Max was all that particularly great. I thought it was just a bunch of kind of I think the tone of the movie itself doesn't lend itself well to a whole lot of great acting.
Yeah, it's not really about acting. I mean, my
No,
thing
it's
about
not.
Mad
Also,
Max
yeah,
is
it's not really about acting though.
it's a 2-hour
film.
wacky racist movie, and it gave me. I love that shit.
Yeah. So there's that. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing in everything that he's in. He can
Was
act
he
the
in
pants
it?
off anything. In the Avengers?
Oh yeah, Age of Ultron. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say anybody in that movie particularly strikes me as like I don't think Samuel L. Jackson's really a great actor. I think he just plays Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Unless
he's Mace Windu.
Or when he plays when he played the guy, the computer guy in the first Jurassic Park, he wasn't doing Sam Jackson in that film.
Exactly.
That's true.
Or when he plays Afro Samurai.
That's some good stuff right there. But
Yeah.
I don't want to say anybody in Avengers particularly stood out to me other than Robert Downey Jr. just because he's fucking awesome at acting. That's just the straight up truth. I felt that ever. I think when I finally went firmly in the Robert Downey Jr. camp was Tropic Thunder actually.
I hated that movie.
I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but he does a good fucking job in that.
Oh yeah, he's good in it, but it's I can't stand Ben Stiller, man.
Yeah, just when he takes the contacts out, and pulls the wig off, it goes from black guy to Australian guy. Like my brain hurts every time that scene comes up.
All right. Oh yeah. By the way, need to derail a little bit, but since we're talking about Oscars, Twitter is going crazy right now because Leo DiCaprio won an Oscar, and my thing is like, why is that a big deal?
Because he has never won one.
So there's a bunch of actors who never won one.
He has been in a lot of films that have gotten big nominations, and he's never gotten the award. Which I feel, I hope that Tom Hardy won an award for that fucking film because he was actually really good in that. Better than DiCaprio. DiCaprio kind of just grunts and crawls in that whole film.
Which one? What are you talking about?
The Revenant.
The Wolf movie.
The what?
The Wolf movie, right?
No.
Isn't the whole movie Leonardo DiCaprio fighting wolves or something?
No, he's just surviving.
Okay, so he's fighting wolves though.
It's a revenge. No, he's not fighting wolves.
Yeah, it's a revenge movie.
It's a revenge film.
Not against wolves.
I mean, at some point he fights a wolf, but he also fights a fucking bear. So what are you going to say? It's a bear-wolf movie? Come on, dude.
Yeah, it could be that. It shows you how much I know about this Revenant movie.
No, The Revenant's actually a really good film. You should check it out. Here's the thing. It's a very pretty revenge action film.
Okay, yeah, again, I don't get it. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio, another guy. It's like, okay, he's good. He's not great. He's good. To be honest, I don't really think DiCaprio's that great of an actor. He's not. Let's just be honest. He's not. He's just a good actor. He's an average actor,
Here's the thing. The problem with DiCaprio is that he doesn't play characters. He just kind of plays him.
Yeah, it's
doing an accent that isn't very good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's nothing special. I don't know why people are going crazy.
I mean, right. Shutter Island's a great film, but I don't think DiCaprio did an amazing job in it.
What the hell? I think the last DiCaprio movie I saw was Inception, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He's good in that.
Yeah, and then what was it before that? Titanic, maybe. I don't really watch Leonardo DiCaprio movies,
It's funny. Tom Hardy's been in two of his films, two of the bigger films for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, next question. Capcom Chaff. Have you ever rage quit on someone during online play and why? No, I've never done that. That's
no.
Incredible. You don't do that,
Yeah. That's just not.
Brett. Ooh, I need to hear this story.
Fuck you. If you're cheating, I'm not adding to your stats.
That's actually a good reason. You were playing as a PC player, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's totally justified then. Those fucking assholes.
Or there's every once in a while, if you're playing Souls and you're like level 10 and you come across an obvious mule, somebody who loaded a save file in because they're level 5 and they have every piece of end game equipment, and like you'll hit them and their health bar just won't even go down. They'll have like infinite health, and they'll be like, "Fuck you! Unplug the internet connection. Eat a dick." Not giving you the satisfaction, motherfucker.
Wow, that's
crazy. That's a good call.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, for sure. Right. And the last question here, Kojima Kawaii. What type of merch would you like to see in the official Kojima production store in the future? Manny, I'm looking at you.
Well, I mean, they've already kind of covered the gamut up there. If you've looked at what they have, they essentially have, like, you get this little pack, and it's like everything you could possibly want. They have a really cool like cup that like coffee cup that you can get that's like made of like aluminum. They have a T-shirt that comes with a bunch of stickers, a bunch of buttons. So it's like, I mean, what else could you make with Kojima junk on a case for your cell phone?
Yeah.
So I mean, I would like to see whatever their game, their next game is. Or whatever that skull robot thing is. Maybe a sculpture of that. That might be cool.
Give me a second. I'm gonna throw a bomb at Twitter right now. Why is everyone going crazy about DiCaprio winning an Oscar? He's not even really that good of an actor.
Oh, you're gonna get it now.
Oh man, hilarious.
Well, yeah. For we said it.
Hey, they have a Kojima hug pillow thing. Okay,
no,
there you go.
They don't. They don't have a Kojima hug pillow, but there is somebody who had one.
Nice.
Which is kind of gross if you think about it.
I'm looking at it right now. Look at this shit.
I think somebody sent it to him and he favorited it.
Hilarious. Look at this shit, guys. I don't know.
Speaking of Kojima, there was an interview with him not long ago, and somebody asked him about his beard, right?
Yeah.
And he was essentially saying that people in Japan don't like the beard, but people in the United States love the beard. because people, he says, people in Japan feel it makes him look too old.
Damn.
Can somebody make an officially licensed Kojima hiding box?
That would be awesome.
Which they've kind of done already.
Yeah.
But that's not. It's
Have
not a
they?
Kojima. Yeah, but for Metal Gear. But you remember, he's not Metal Gear anymore.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's... Well, what would he market then? Just himself?
I mean, it's what I think. Whatever whatever the right now, it's just the studio logo, which looks really cool. It's like the skull knight thing. I think maybe one of the other things that they might market it definitely would be whatever game they're creating. You know.
Yeah. Just make some shirts and hats and cups.
Mm-hmm.
All the basic stuff, and then whatever it is gets made, let's get some toys and stuff.
I think also it's actually a really smart move to kind of, essentially raise money for their studio. Because every single freaking Kojima fan is going to pick up freaking one of those toys or whatever, not toys, but that little package that you get all this fun stuff with. So it's actually a really smart idea to kind of raise money for his studio, which is cool. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen any other company do that. It's like, hey, we're making a company here. Want to buy a bunch of shit?
Yeah, I don't really have anything in mind. I'm not really one of those people that buys merchandise like that.
I'm me. I love T-shirts. So anything with a cool T-shirt, I'm cool with.
All right. And the last, does anybody else want to jump in here with this one, Chris?
No, I said just you have the standard stuff he can't make much because there's no property yet. So
yeah,
use the logo, make some shirts, posters, cups, that kind of hats. What else can you do until we get Quiet Meadows, wink, wink, and then make some toys and stuff.
All right. And the last question. This is funny. For those who still own one, how often are you using your PlayStation Vita?
You mean me?
Yeah, I have one. I haven't used it in years, man.
I was using it when I was on, because I had to go take a different route to get to Pennsylvania, so I used it while I was on the train. I was playing some games, so I still use it. It's always, I don't have it here on my desk, but it always is my companion on my desk, and especially with my new office here. I mean, now I don't need to go and walk all the way over into the living room. I can play a little game on there. So, sure, I'm still playing.
Yeah, because the thing is, you do the cross play stuff?
I do remote play quite a bit.
Yeah, remote play. Yeah. Brett, you sold your Vita, didn't you?
No.
Oh, you still own it? When was the last time you actually played that thing?
I haven't played it for a while, but I'm slated to be playing it quite a bit as we're looking to be up at the doctors for 3 days a week. One of them for 14 hours. So I will sure as shit be getting my use out of it now.
Nice, yeah, dust it off, man.
I think it's just an issue of there are certain people who don't have time for a Vita. During my everyday life, I generally don't have time for a Vita because I'm either working, doing something, or I'm commuting, and my particular breed of commuting is driving. For somebody that lives in New York, if you take the train a lot, oh yeah, I would use a Vita all the goddamn time. So it just depends. I'm not in transit and I'm not generally away from a console and have a need to play a video game very much. I'm going to, and so I will, but there are, Manny's a perfect example. There's a use there, and so he gets a lot of use out of it. So you're going to find a pretty wide range of people who never use it and people who use it all the time. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people who kind of use it.
Yeah, exactly. Riku, he still uses that shit all the time. He's playing Persona 4 on it right now.
He's in there for the long haul on that one.
Exactly. I know Riku told me he uses his or at one point he uses Vita more than his PS3.
Damn.
Just crazy. So he's in it for the long haul. But my thing is I don't play games when I go outside. I only play games at home. So it's if I'm gonna play a video game, am I gonna play a handheld or am I gonna play on my TV? 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna play on my TV. So that wins out automatically. But it's still a great system. It's just I guess I'm not really a handheld type of guy.
For me, it's even better ever since I figured out how to adjust the frame rate back to normal. Because most games, what would happen in the beginning before they they didn't allow you to adjust the frame rate of your Vita, especially if you're on the same network. So now it actually runs. I can for a game like any of the games that are running at 60, it can run it on 60 through your network.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Very nice. All right, so that's pretty much it.
Oh, wait, I didn't answer.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, never. Chris, do you have a Vita?
Yeah, I do.
I think that's why I skipped you. I didn't think you had one. Okay, so do you use it?
Just once in a while. I mean, the last thing I played on it was Zeo Drifter when you recommended it.
Oh, yeah.
And I played.
Yeah.
I liked that game. That was a fun game. Yeah, I played it on. I know it was on PS4 also. I played it on the Vita. Usually the indie games, if they're on both, I'll play it on the Vita.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I'll watch something on there. I usually watch Crunchyroll on it, so I use it to just watch anime and shit while I'm at my desk. It's sitting right here, next to me.
Oh, cool. I don't know why I didn't think you had a Vita. I don't know why that came into my mind. Anyway,
Hey, Tony, let me ask you, what would it take for you to play a handheld? Like, what kind of handheld would it need to be for you to play it reliably?
That's the thing. I don't know because again, I'm not against handhelds, right? I bought the 3DS, I bought the Vita, but like I said, it's like if I have a choice, play a handheld, play on your TV. I'm gonna play on my TV. You know what I mean? Like, what was it? I bought the PSP purely because of Metal Gear. And I bought the Vita just because my buddy was selling it cheap. But then again, I've also bought the 3DS because he was selling it cheap too. I don't know. That's good. I don't know because it's like I played Uncharted. I played some other stuff on the Vita, and it's cool, but I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that question. Again, I don't have anything against it. It's just what will incentivize me to play it. I don't know the answer to that.
Personally, I think it would be some kind of headset. Like one of my biggest complaints with a handheld is if you do want to actually play it for an extended period of time, like your neck hurts from craning your neck for so long, and you can't get comfortable. You have to sit it up a certain way. The screen's too small. You have to hold it towards your face. Like if I could actually even if it weren't like a VR headset or something like that, even if I could just sit back, while Rachel's playing on the PS4 and just lower a little visor and it just simulates a 50-inch TV, like then I'd be a lot more inclined, I think, to play when not dealing with the tiny screen.
Interesting. I don't know because I never really had that issue where it's like, oh, my neck hurts. No, it's not. That's not really an issue at all. Yeah, but it's funny because I used to be like primarily a handheld guy back in the day. Like Game Boy and stuff. Like I played that more than my Super Nintendo and Nintendo. But I just kind of grew out of it, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Cause I want to play a handheld, but I don't feel an incentive to play on handheld either. But then again, that's kind of a moot point now. Handhelds are essentially dead.
Yeah. If we have time, I actually have another fairly unrelated question, well, completely unrelated question for you, Tony. Have you heard about the room sensing technology that's coming out with the Vive?
I have not.
Apparently, they have little sensors that you place around the room that if you choose to be in a VR, like completely wandering around in a VR space, it senses the edges of the room and any obstacles as well as people in the room and bleeds them into the game environment. So how you kind of run across the edge of a level right now where it kind of has that shiny grid kind of pattern so that that the level's ending. You'll see that kind of thing if you approach the wall of your room. So it's technology to keep you from slamming into a wall accidentally or tripping over a friend or your cat or something like that. And I just thought I should mention that because that sounded like one of your biggest concerns with VR, and I'm curious whether that information changes your perception at all or not.
No, again, it sounds like more gimmickry stuff. You know me, dude. I like give me a controller, give me a TV, I'm good. I don't need all that extra shit. So it just sounds like more shit to add on top of that.
Let me ask you that same question about VR then. What would it take you, or what would it take to get you interested in the VR headset thing that a lot of people are hyped up about? What kind of headset would they need to show you in order to get you amped? I'm just curious.
It's not about the headset. It's about the games. You need to really compel me with some really good games that I know I cannot get on a console, But again, I'm not all hyped up for the VR thing anyway. Like I said, I'm happy with my controller and my television. So I don't really exactly know the answer to that either. What exactly would it take for me to make that.
Well, nobody's taking your
fine.
controller away from you. The Oculus.
No, but
works
it's
with
like
controller.
again, I don't want to like, hey, time to play a game. Pop this thing on my head. It's like my television's there. It's good. I don't need anything extra, you know. But that's me. I like how I've been playing games for the last 30 something years, you know.
One day kids will make fun of us for saying things like that. They'll be like, yeah, because having to play video games at the same place every day, all day, isn't more
Oh
constrictive
yeah,
than
but
uh,
fuck kids, you know. Hey, you know, I know we're gonna do it. You mean you have to use your hands? I know we're gonna get that, but I'm a crotchety old man, and that's okay. You
you have
know.
to sit in the same chair every time you play video games? That's weird, Grandpa
Yes, I
Tony.
sit in the same chair every day, so it's not any different.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, but I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. There's no, like I said, to answer that question, I would need something to be for like there's a need. There's something missing with my gaming that I need like filled with something. I don't really have that. My gaming needs are pretty well filled now. You know, and they have been for like 30 years now. You know, give me a controller, give me a TV, I'm good.
Can I ask the same question to you other two? Because I know Brian and I are the ones primarily enthusiastic about VR. So I'm curious as to the people who are kind of on the fence. And it is Throwdown Your Questions, so this is my question.
Yeah, man, fair enough.
Oh, what if I would be
What?
more likely to buy it with the sensors now that.
No. Like, what would it take for each of you to get really excited about VR? Like, would it have to be a feature in the technology? Would it have to be a development studio promising to support it? Would it have to be a game that came out on it?
Oh no, I'm pretty on board. I just need money. I'm already there. Like the whole I've waited to get a kind of an HD experience, like especially watching movies that I don't have to hold. Like I just want it on my face. So it'll give me that. And the gaming, I'm kind of with Tony. Like I don't feel it adding anything unless I buy like the suspenders and that thing where I can walk around and feel like I'm in an FPS. Like so I don't like walk and like do exactly that and ram into the wall. Like where you can just slide around on that. Have you seen that thing? It's
Yeah,
so
it's like
neat.
three. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw it.
Like it
Yeah.
suspends you and holds you in place, and you can kind of slip around, walk around, and the game follows you like you're walking around. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't see myself doing that too much. Like I would see more of myself immersing myself with media, like watching shit on there and like just enjoy movies. Like if I could just immerse myself in like a movie and stuff with that thing, and it looks good, then I'm sold.
Okay.
Manny.
Me, I don't know. There's actually nothing that I can think of at this point in time that really would make me want to do it. I mean, I don't feel. I look at it, I'm like, all right, that's not something I really care about. I don't want to be immersed in the world of a video game. I'm just as happy being a spectator or controlling something as opposed to rather being in the world of a game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, different strokes, man.
I mean, yeah, again, I can see the ideas of like, where Chris is like, oh yeah, you essentially can have you can have essentially a movie theater size screen in your house, just by the perspective of your virtual reality thing, or you can do something like the ARI system that Norman Jayden had was it heavy not heavy rain
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
not Jaden. That's
in Heavy Rain, where he essentially where I'm talking about actually having a real office. You can have your own crazy kind of virtual office space within your helmet. So you pull down your glasses, essentially you're on someplace, and you have this amazing office that's a digital office. And meanwhile, your room is only just about as big as this.
that's my
Yeah.
dream, Manny. That's my dream.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good. I mean that's the closest thing I'll get to a holodeck in my lifetime, so I'd like that.
But here's the thing: if there was a holodeck involved, If there's somehow or if somehow created a holodeck, I would be more interested in something like that.
Yeah. See, there you go. If you create a real deal holodeck, you sign me the fuck
Well, I
up.
think everybody would.
That's impossible, though.
I know.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, but that's what I want. I want the real deal thing. I wanna have sex with like aliens and shit. Like that's what I want. Give me that.
I think you know, to me it just seems cumbersome at this point where it's like you have to put all this extra. You know, also Chris talked about all those different things. It's like literally you're putting all these things on to replicate reality. You know, I don't want to have all of that. I want to just be able to walk in a room and then I'm in somewhere else.
There you go. And that's why VR for me will never work, because it's not the holodeck. So sorry, you know.
All Tony wants is tangible, pressure-sensitive holograms.
Yeah,
In spectrum light. I mean, that's not really that hard, except for the fact that it's scientifically possible.
I know. Yeah, it's scientifically possible, but if you can't replicate that, then you ain't selling me on it. Sorry, you know.
I understand that, but at the same time, like I think the brain actually fills in a lot. So the question becomes, how do you trick the brain easily? Like people get vertigo, like walking in VR across like a post suspended between two buildings, and their brain will actually make them feel like they're falling, or like the ground is kind of shifting. So I think we'll find really interesting ways to fool your brain into it. And I think the closest we'll ever actually become to a full holodeck experience it'll feel like a holodeck, but you'll have to be wearing goggles, and it'll essentially feel like you'll be able to have pressure sensitivity, but it'll feel like through a suit or something like that. Like they're doing really interesting things where they're using sound waves below the range of human hearing, and they can project them directionally, and where the two directions intersect, it creates a pressure field. And so they're able to actually simulate pressure sensitivity all around the body. Now you'll probably have to be strapped in for a full suit on that kind of thing. But
you see what I mean, though, man.
Yeah, but that's you are even going for the most outlandish representation of virtual world.
You're essentially going to be a cyber gimp, you know. You'll be wrapped up in this gear, and it's like I don't know. I don't want to be wrapped up in a bunch of gear.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever have to be, because I think there are a lot of people like you. I think that's the reason Oculus is releasing with a controller input. Like nobody wants to I think the fucking Wii showed that. Like nobody wants to sit there like Frankenstein in their living room for 4 hours. Your arms start to hurt. It's not fun. It doesn't actively work. And I'm sure the same way, like if we're being really honest, like do people want to play Skyrim where they're walking through the mountains for 8 hours? No, because they're fat lazy fucks. Like they want to sit on their couch. But like, would they like the ability to turn around? Would they like to be the ability to look over their shoulder? And like, this is where I get my real thing. Would they like the ability to not have to control their head movement with a thumbstick and free up that thumbstick for something else? Like, you may have a game in the future where each thumbstick independently controls an arm, and like, who the fuck knows? Like, maybe that's how you'll fight in some weird game. They'll come up with some really cool control scheme, like. But it's actually really interesting to hear your guys' answer, because it sounds like for a lot of the people on the fence, the dividing thing is going to be how it handles multimedia.
No, I mean for me, for me, it's not even about the media. It's just about I just don't want to. I don't feel like I want to go in, and have I don't want to be like I don't want to be like this, where I have this thing over my face. I just don't. I don't want it.
That's fair.
I don't know. I just unless they can somehow make it unintrusive, then maybe something like that, or some sort of just less than what it is. Because as of now, it just seems it looks heavy. It looks annoying. It feels like to me. It's like how it's part of the reason why I don't like just bear with me on this one. It's part of the reason why I don't like going to 3D films. Because I already wear a pair of eyewear, and then now I have to wear another pair of eyewear over the fucking eyewear that I already carry on me. I prefer it if I don't need. For me, I don't even like having glasses. I don't want to have all this bullshit in the way. on top of me. I'd much rather just be like, I can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, dude. I don't even wear glasses, and I feel it's like 3D. I have to put this shit on my fucking face now. Come on, and it's just some cheap ass glasses. Now imagine a whole rig with cables and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, like I mean, how much have these? I mean, are these things? I don't know. I haven't looked totally into it, but are these things wireless now? You have to worry about a big cable, about a data cable, and accidentally accidentally pulling it too hard, or maybe you can't move your head too good enough because the cable's kind of bunched up around your leg or something.
Well, I'm waiting for those lawsuits and crazy things where somebody yanks their PS4 like flying off their entertainment center because they got freaked out in a horror game and kicked that shit. I'm thinking of those things. Remember where people were throwing their Wii remotes through the TV and shit?
Exactly.
So imagine the disasters with VR.
Yeah, so we'll see. By the way, do you guys have time? Because I actually want to post a different thing to you. I know it's taking up extra time, but you mind sticking around another 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because Pokemon had a 20th anniversary this weekend, right? I didn't fucking get it. I'm like, okay, I used to check out the anime and stuff. I saw the movie, never played any of the games and stuff. And then my boy Jeff. Let me finish. I saw Pokemon. Pokemon came when I was 18 or so, right? I didn't even know there was a video game until I was like 25, and by then I was like, I have a PS2. Why the fuck am I gonna play this baby's first RPG shit, right? Then I was saying this on Twitter, and my friend Jeffrey Wilson, the guy who actually kind of helped me get the job at Geek.com, brought up a great point I didn't think about, and I think judging by even Brett's reaction, I think he may be onto this. Basically, Pokemon is a dividing line between Generation X and Millennials. Generation X guys don't get Pokemon. They've never played Pokemon. Millennials do get it. Manny, have you played Pokemon?
Yes.
Have you liked it? Do you get the whole craze?
I know what it. I can appreciate it, and I understand the nuts and bolts of it because it essentially replicates what I've been already playing. That's why that you kind of literally used my line. Baby's first RPG. That's exactly what it is. It's a light version of a lot of the RPGs that used to be made, for consoles. Like Final Fantasy.
But you're not one of those dudes that goes crazy when like, oh my god, Pokemon.
No, I mean, I understand it, but I actually didn't finish it. What was it? I played the one with Zaru, the one shit. What the fuck was that one? The first one with the actual 3D backgrounds in it. The one that took place in New York.
I didn't
Chris, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Was that black and white?
Yeah, I guess that's black and white.
Yeah.
So I bought. I think me and my girlfriend bought it. Like she bought. She played white and I played black. So, I mean, it was cool. It was a good experience, but at the same time, it's like I kind of already played it. I'm like, oh, this is just like this. I don't really feel like playing this right now.
Yeah, Chris, what about you in Pokemon, man?
Yeah, I kind of had to.
Oh, you had to?
Well, because I worked on some of those sites. So.
Oh yeah, that's Nintendo. Yeah, never mind.
But I did play the first one, and then I didn't play anything after that, right? Because I thought the same thing. I saw the anime first when I was in college. Right?
Yeah,
I was already in college, and then I was like, oh, there's a game. Yeah. So I played it out of curiosity, and I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. I beat it, and I was like, all right. And then there was other games. They kept coming out. There was different colors, and I was like, are they any different? So I was confused. And then there was GBA ones. I skipped all those. And then I think the first one I jumped back onto when it came on DS was black and white, and I played those.
We were literally all playing that, and we all lived together.
But I was still working there, so I was like, okay, I'll play this. And yeah, I don't really play Pokemon that much, and I'm not crazy about it. Like it was fun. Okay. I don't watch the show anymore or anything, so I don't really care.
Yeah, to me, it was like I saw the anime, because remember, when Pokemon anime came out, there weren't that much anime on TV, right? So you kind of just watched it because, hey, anime on TV, okay, I'll watch this, And then I saw it up to the first movie. I'm like, okay, I get what Pokemon's about. It's like basically a bunch of kids leaving their homes and kidnapping animals and fighting other animals and stuff. Like, that's the whole premise of Pokemon. Very weird, Anyway, Brett, you and Pokemon. Because you're the youngest guy here, so I want your take on this.
Am I the youngest guy here?
Yeah, you're like 30, right?
I'm 32.
Yeah, you're 32. Me and Manny are like 36. Chris is like
I'm
38.
38.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay. I have a burning hatred for the Pokemon show and everything that came through.
I did not expect that. All right,
I was not expecting that either.
But there was a very brief time. It was a very magical summer in which Pokemon released, and nobody really knew what it was. And those of us that found out what it was basically came to the conclusion, like, okay, so it's like an RPG. It's kind of a light RPG, where you're allowed to choose from, like 120 different kinds of soldiers, right? Like it's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, except it's set more in the traditional Final Fantasy battle scheme, and you're allowed to choose all these characters. So you have this huge well of characters to choose from. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you can customize all of these characters. Okay, that's pretty cool. And you don't just hire them. You don't just run across them by picking them up at an inn, or they're not handed to you in a story. You actually have to find them, and some of them are rare. So you actually have to grind and actually may end up finding a really cool thing and training that and customizing it and making it your own. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then you're going to tell me that I have the ability to plug this cord into my friend's fucking Game Boy and attack the entire party that they have been training for 3 months? Fucking yes, please. There was no real multiplayer RPG, and to this day, there still really isn't something that does that exact same thing, where you can train and customize a group of RPG characters and then take them head to head against your friends. It was a magical, awesome thing where you could hunt for the rarest thing, train it up, and then use it to beat the shit out of your friend. Go home for the weekend, they'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh motherfucker! Turns out that Magikarp fucking goldfish thing that I had found turns into a motherfucking dragon." But they don't tell you that before they start the fight. Oh no, they're like, "Hey, you want to fight my Magikarp?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay." And then they pull out a fucking dragon. You're like, "What the fuck just happened?" They're like, "Yeah, man. Turns out like if you do this, this, and this thing happens." Now, keep in mind, this was before a whole lot of like internet forum pages and things like that. So these little secrets were kind of fun to explore and find out. There was a sense of competitiveness. Now, all of these things hinged on a very few important facts. One, that you had friends who also owned a Game Boy and also owned this game. Two, that you had enough FaceTime with these friends to actually enjoy the multiplayer features of it. And three, that you did not see any of the god-awful merchandising or anything that came after, because as soon as the show came out, as soon as the merchandising came out, it put into very clear perspective the tone that was kind of absent in the game. The game was very much like all games of that genre on the Game Boy. It's kind of a blank slate. It had a few very fundamental mechanics, and then you made of it what you did. It wasn't overtly little kitty. But when they came out with all the side stuff, it put it firmly in the place of very little kitty, and kind of tainted everything else from there. Like you couldn't enjoy the game because you knew now like it was this kind of childish small thing that wasn't quite like you'd interpret it. It's like seeing somebody make a movie adaptation of a book and go completely the opposite direction of which you had expected. And what's more is this kind of small, kiddie, cheery, super fun time, like 4-year-old geared anime, became almost more of the brand of the game that it was originally supposed to represent. And so that took a life on its own, and it started influencing the games themselves. And so which was a weird thing, because the audience that this game was marketed at was not 4 and 5-year-old kids like the rest of the cartoon and all the other shit was. Like it was for people who had kind of played RPG and wanted, it was a blend between kind of Monster Hunter and the Final Fantasy RPG. So it came out of a weird lineage that almost baited us into it. They're like, this kind of game's for you. Psych, this game's for your kid's sister. And you're like, oh man, I actually really fucking enjoyed that first one.
You want to know something really interesting about the Pokemon? It's actually started as a comic. Now think about that one. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it's funny. I actually worked at. The funny thing is that when Chris got his job at Nintendo, I also got. Well, it wasn't that. Well, I got the job, but I was working at the company for Kids Productions, which also produced all the localization of the Pokemon cartoon series. And the funny thing is that I started working there when the Pokemon company actually pulled back on all the different things that they did. Like they pulled back. They essentially started pulling back on with 4Kids, and they started doing the localization of Pokemon on their own. But a fun story about that is when we were there, they were literally saying they had a little like announcement throughout the whole office. They're like, if anybody calls asking about Nintendo or Pokemon, please refer them to this number, which was essentially the Pokemon company number.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, you had to throw in that little bit of Pokemon since it's the 20th anniversary and all that.
I just want to say, 20 years later, and we still haven't come out with a game like Pokemon for adults, because I would still play the fuck out of that game. I just want to point that out. You let me go around, beat monsters, capture them, and then fight my friends online. Yes,
okay,
I will play that.
We'll save this for another episode because they could just start off a whole thing. Why haven't you made Pokemon into a fucking MMO in Nintendo? Come on, it's right
because
there.
It's in the name, Pokemon Pocket Monsters.
But dude, I'll stop.
It's only for this thing.
It shouldn't be.
Except when you put them in a fighting game, then it's on a console.
Yeah, then Pocket Fun.
No, it's okay. It's okay because the game wasn't made by Nintendo. It was made by Namco.
Yeah, but yeah, a Pokemon MMO. No, but you can't do that because it would make too much sense. All right.
Why hasn't anybody made a Pokemon-like MMO? That's just my question. Yes. Why hasn't anybody taken the basic idea like, okay, so you want to capture things, train them to fight, and then fuck up your friends? We can do that.
Wasn't Monster Rancher that?
Monster Rancher was awesome. Monster Rancher.
Didn't you like sticking your CDs inside of the thing and
yes? Oh, dude, you had to go through every CD and game and DVD you had trying to find something awesome. And when that thing died of old age, it hurt, man. That shit hurt. But then they leave together like a new side. I'll be like, my awesome Frostwolf is dead, but I have a new baby Frostwolf, and he's gonna be even fucking better. I guarantee it.
I remember there was a guide to which albums give you really good monsters, and Nirvana's Nevermind actually gives you a really good fucking monster. Because it's based off of the tempo and a bunch of different factors that helps to generate the new monster. So
interesting.
Yes. So something about that album does it.
I want a PS4 Monster Rancher so bad.
All right, let's wrap it up. A couple of things here. Okay, so we haven't officially announced this on Coalition yet, but I guess we're the first ones to do it. So Otanime will no longer be on the proper Coalition site. The reason for that is because the site is now going to be, the main site itself is going to be just about video games, none of the side stuff anymore. Even hip-hop, done. All that stuff is going to be relegated to the YouTube channel. So if you want to keep checking out Otanime, just, like always, subscribe to the Throwdown channel. The same shit. We just recorded a really cool episode on Berserk, which I highly suggest everybody checks out. One of our better episodes. So yeah, Otanime, spoiler alert, will no longer be on Coalition. They'll be just on Throwdown, YouTube, and SoundCloud.
The only thing about spoiler alert, especially if the spoiler alert
is
video
games. Yeah, if it's a video game, we're gonna be on the main Coalition site. But yeah, just make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get all this shit. I don't know what Charles is doing exactly with Knights of the Turntable. I heard what he plans to do with it. It sounds really cool. So I'm pretty sure he'll keep you updated on where you can find Knights of the Turntable. Knights of the Turntable is still going to be on the Coalition main site. So make sure you subscribe to the Coalition TV on YouTube. For all that. And the last thing is, Brett, give us a little bit of a status with the fundraiser with Rachel, because you told us some very cool news before the show started.
Oh yeah, so we've gotten a fair amount of traction on Rachel's Kickstarter. For those of you who may have missed or are unaware or living under a rock for some reason, I don't blame you. Rachel's cancer has had a recurrence and it's progressed to stage 4. We are currently trying to raise some money for some fringe science out-of-state cancer treatment that will hopefully have the side effect of giving her superpowers. And we are funding this on YouCaring. The site is youcaring.com/cancerkicker. And if anybody who hasn't already generously responded would be so kind as to pass the information along. We're trying to reach as many people as possible. But the good news is, as of last night, we passed the $4,000 mark. So we are almost a third of the way there. And that is very good news. And I would like to express my sincere and humble appreciation to everybody who helped pass it along. I'm not real good at feelings, so I will just say it means a whole hell of a lot to me.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing, guys. Thank you again. Please,
Yeah, definitely, guys.
And spread the word to all your friends too. Wherever possible. Rachel's family, so we definitely want to keep her around. So please support however you can. Even if you don't have money, just spread the word, please.
Mm-hmm.
Links are, link is down there. It's gonna be down there until all this is over. So that's pretty much that. So let's wrap this shit up here. Thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section on the Coalition or on YouTube so we can answer them on next week's show. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help support the Coalition by donating to the Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and the YouTubes. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links, as always, are available in the description below. Once again, our show's Tony Blanco. Tonight, as joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
And Brett Murdoch.
Keep it real, party people.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Later.
Deuces.
Peace.